Hey friends, welcome back. We are at it again with another Costco hack. And here is the deal. Like many of you, I am super busy this time of year, but I still want my house to be gorgeous. So we are basically gonna glow up a garland. At the end of the day, I do not have time to construct a 25-foot garland, and Costco has it for $19.99. So I'm gonna take this beautiful base and we're kicking it up a notch. And this year, my theme is, I'm calling it Maximalist Naturalist. So in front of me, I have a ton of ingredients that we're gonna use going into this garland. So like last time, I stopped by Trader Joe's to pick up more eucalyptus because I wanted it to tie into the wreath that we've already constructed. But that was pretty much the only embellishment that I purchased. The rest of this is from my garden or a friend's garden. Let's show you what I got. First and foremost, we have birch twigs. The birches every year do tons and tons of dropping of all of their twigs. And so I have collected a pile of them because I feel like you need a sticky bit. You need like a sculptural element, and this is gonna be it for this project. All right, foraged goodies. This is where it gets really fun. I actually went in the back, and for the very first time, I was grateful to have some cuttings that I could take from my ivy. Right now, it is pushing off these little floral knobbly bits, and it is giving really cool volume and texture. And I do feel like having a bit of a berry is super duper nice. The next thing I did is I took some cuttings from my Lakothaway. This is just a standard Lakothaway that I had in my side yard. Again, we're bringing in a different leaf shape. So this one is like oval and kind of curved in. Very, very cool. The other things that I grabbed is my Skimmia. My Skimmia is kicking off more of these little kind of flower buds. And again, we've got a little bit of knobbly bits, a bit of texture. It echoes the ivy game that I currently have going on. All right, last but not least, well, if you've watched the last video, you already saw that I collected a bunch of fir branches from a friend's garden, but I was out in my driveway and I have a ton of sword fern, and I thought, you know, that actually could be really cool, or it could be terrible. I'm gonna move all these things to the ground so we can lay out this garland because we have a lot of work to do. So similar to last time, we are going to unravel our garland and we are gonna assess the situation. We are gonna see what we are working with. My gosh, that's so good. Whoa. Okay. Wow, this thing is massive. So to get this party started, I went ahead and I laid out the garland in its entirety along the front walkway to my front door. The reason I did that is because I wanted to find the center, and you never know when you buy a garland like this, it's gonna say, yeah, it's 25 feet. This one is 27. I'm not gonna cry about those 2 extra feet, but I do want to be aware so that as I position it around my door, I don't have such an uneven appearance. Okay, so once I stretched it all out, I then folded it in half and I marked the approximation of the center with a little knot. The next thing is we have measured the perimeter because I am going to be hanging this from the gutter. So I measured out, and it turns out we're working with 11 feet of that super visual. And when I'm thinking about how I want this garland to be laid out, I really want the bulk to be along the main entry and then it to kind of like fade out down either side. I love that look when it kind of like is real big and full or even asymmetrical, and then it kind of like feathers its way down. So all that to say, I am now, if I know that this is my center of 11 feet, I'm gonna measure out 5.5 feet. Okay, 5.5 feet is right there. And I'm gonna take, literally using whatever I have, I'm gonna take this other end and I'm gonna mark 5.5 feet over there so I kind of know where to stop, because once I get in a roll, I just wanna like keep going. Alrighty, so we have found our 2 points for this first run of the garland, and I wanna talk about a couple things. First, I wanna talk about the construction of this garland. When these are mass produced, oftentimes they don't have like the fluff to it that we know and love. So like you'll have some beautiful pieces hanging off like that. And then in through here, do you see that? It's like so tightly bound together. So as I'm going through this, if you see me in here kind of like pulling at some of these pieces of cedar, that one I'm not going to be able to get, but like these little cuties, look at that. I've just now made it so much more fluffy and organic. So that's first things first. Know what you're working with. And because everyone's going to also build these a little bit differently. This one, I can tell there's like a black rope. Here we go. There's a black rope right here that's going down the center. And then what they've done is they've just like taken these bundles and just wrapped it all the way down with wire. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm choosing my center point and then I'm feathering it out from there. The other thing that you'll notice is very similar to the wreath. There is a directionality to the garland. And so I'm actually going to start more towards the center because I want to address this little ugly bit right here. This is literally going to be right above my front door and I want to hide that visual. So I'm going to start by gathering a bundle of mixed greens and we're going to get that tied together and then I'm going to start inserting them along the way. So the first piece that I'm going to add is right here at this kind of like real ugly point. Whoop. And one thing that I want to incorporate is these pine cones because this gives it such a beautiful natural look and some really great fullness. And I love that this might be a focal point across the top. So I think all the branches that have pine cones, I'm going to use just at the front and then let it taper out from there. Okay. I was thinking, oh, I'm just going to bundle 3 together and it's going to be like chic and easy. And then I was revisiting and I'm like, you know what? If I'm going for maximalist, naturalist, I'm going to get crazy up in here. So literally I'm doing a bundle. I've got a sticky bit. I've got a bobbly bit. I've got some eucalyptus. I've got some pine or some Doug fir, whatever you have. And oh, one more eucalyptus that has a little bit more volume to it. And I am going to bundle this together using a little bit of my wire here. And then we're going to start attaching and it's going to be go time. Instead of pre-clipping, I'm just going to keep it attached. Yeah, I'm actually really digging on that methodology a lot better. So leave it attached. Get those cut yourself a long tail here. And then I'm going to use this long tail to start wrapping it in here. And so like I did with the wreath, I'm pulling it back. So I'm wrapping on top of essentially the stem of it all. And I'm working to cover it up with the fronds that are in front of it. I'm going to meet it up with my other little cute piece of wire in here. So there is the first piece of this maximalist garland. I'm going to bring in one more texture. I didn't show you this, but this is Bay from a friend's house. She's got a huge bay tree. And I'm just going to slip this back in. This is going to be so scent driven. It's going to be awesome. What I'm doing here is I'm working in a piece of wire that was too loose. And this is also one of those areas that at the very end, I can come back in and embellish even further. Ooh. There we go. Okay, that is looking so cute already. I want to take you in close here because this is a really great view of the structure of this garland. So you do have this kind of the rope here, this black rope that everything is tied around. And then you have the wire. This is probably maybe a 22 gauge wire that is wrapped all the way down. So you can see one here, you can see one here, you can see one here. But see how when I received it, all of these little fronds were kind of just packed into it. I'm releasing them into the wild. This is such a little thing, but it makes such a huge difference. Let's do another one. Okay, do you see how like That just makes it so much better. And then also it creates a little bit of a loose pocket there. So now after I have this up and everything is in place, if I want to come back through and fluff with little tiny pieces of, say, some Doug fir, some pine, we've got some ivy, we've got some bay, some eucalyptus, I can just like shove it all in going all the way down. And by the way, I'm actually keeping my wire attached until I have it inserted. And then what I do is I've left a little bit of a tag right here, a little end piece. So now I'm going to go through and I'm probably going to do maybe two loops. We're on to our next embellishment. This is looking already just so different, so massively different. It's fantastic. So as I go down, what you'll notice is I've already put in like probably 5 bundles, and I'm putting them about every maybe 10 inches is the spacing that I'm going for right now. And then it's going to be very similar to the wreath. Do you remember how I added in my bundles? And then once I kind of had it up and in position and I fluffed it, then I could see where I wanted to tuck my little bits and pieces to make it feel more cohesive. I'm actually saving like a little scrap pile here of these little tiny things that are going to add fullness. They're not going to be a star of the show, but they are going to add fullness and structure to this wreath. And we are going for maximalist naturalist. So fullness is on the agenda. You can see where I've gone like much heavier over here on this end, and we've tapered. You know, the only thing I don't think I have enough of here is twigs. And just to give you kind of an idea of what I'm going to be doing, after I get this up in place, I'm going to be coming back through and I'm going to be adding all these cute little bits, like extra twigs, extra little bits of ivy that are going to make all of these gaps fill in and just come together beautifully. So to start this next side, I've already gone ahead and I've marked right down here, 5.5 feet in this direction, knowing this is where, again, we're going to turn from going along that gutter to cutting down the face of the house. So marked that, and now I'm going to shift this beast back to center, and we're going to start going towards this end. So here we are, end of phase 1 of putting this garland together. Now, I took way more time than you would need to do this, because what I was noticing is as I was going through my garland, this one was wrapped pretty loosely. So if you were not feeling like you needed to go completely overboard, like yours truly, you could simply come through here and just cut a whole bunch of these little bundles and just start shoving them in along the way. Because literally I can come in here, boom, done. And so what I'm going to be doing, I'm actually going to take this one out. I'm going to go ahead and start pre-cutting smaller lengths, and we are going to get this thing hung on the front door. Good morning. Friends, it is the next day, and here is what I found out. A garland hanging is sometimes a 2-person job. When it involves a ladder and a roof, 2 people. So to recap what we're doing, we are going to run the garland just around this little bump out area, and then I'm going to have it trail down this corner here, and then it'll trail down right where it meets up with the rest of the house over here. So I just want it to feel like a little bit cozy, but it was feeling too claustrophobic to put it directly above the door. So here's what we're going to need for this project. I actually have grabbed a bunch of Christmas light hangers for gutters, and that's what we're going to use to suspend the garland. Once we have it up and in place, and I've marked kind of like the beginning and the end points, it's at that point that I will come in and I will start fluffing it out and filling in all the little empty spots that I'm sure are left, because remember, we were just doing bundles all the way down. So there's going to be a little bit of space that needs some attention. And then depending on where it meets up here, I'm going to add a little bit of fullness at the corner while it tapers down. And in case you are admiring this gorgeous tumbler, this is the Hello Garden tumbler. It's available on my website. We designed these with little Easter egg hidden messages. It's garden advice on the go. And also, I can never find a tumbler that fits my hand, and I don't want to lug around like these big, gigantic things. It's so perfect. Ooh. So before I go hoisting this garland into place, I have pre-cut 12 lengths of wire. Actually, I did 13 because I'll probably drop one and not be able to find it. Seems pretty standard. Because I have 12 hangers up here. And so what the plan is I'm going to have Brian help me lift this into place. And we are going to start by securing with just kind of a loop like this. It'll be kind of hard to see here. But I'm going to create a little loop around the garland and then feed it. Actually, you know what I might do? I might just hook it over the top. I might do that. So I'll adhere it to the garland and then we'll lift it up and I'll kind of hook it over the top where it has those prongs that you would normally put a little light bulb into if you were hanging Christmas lights across your house. Okay, dear people. This is your PSA that a garland that is this beefy and beautiful will not be contained by a Christmas tree gutter light. So that was holder. That was a total fail. So what I'm doing instead is Brian and I were chatting it through and we're like, God, we need to secure this really well because obviously we don't want it to like blow down or anything or have someone walk to our front door and it comes crashing. That'd be a terrible surprise. And Brian was like, oh, what about the little cross bracey things in the gutter? Those, by the way, are called a gutter spike. What I'm doing now is instead of using the Christmas light holders, we're wiring it directly to that gutter spike or that gutter cross brace. And it's working really well. For this though, I only have the 26 gauge. I would for sure do the 22 gauge. It's far more sturdy, but we're using what I have and I may climb up later and re-secure it if anything kind of like falls down. But we're just kind of gonna go along. And if for some reason I can't make this 90 over here, I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. I'm just gonna continue on and it's gonna be gorgeous. Okay, guys, here's the genius. Remember this? This was my middle marker and it is straight up in front of the door. You guys, it's moments like this where I'm like, I am actually potentially a genius. Oh, this is great. I can wrap this not only around the wire holding it, but I can also wrap it around that black string that is holding the major framework of the garland in. This is so fantastic. The other thing about hanging this garland is that we actually pushed it completely onto the roof before we started the process of tying it off, just because there's so much weight to it. And so that is one thing to consider. So if you are nervous about this, a shortcut that you could actually do that would probably be awesome is you could also build this in place. Like you didn't have to do it there. I just find it easier to build it on a flat surface and then come through and just like do final embellishments. But you could also do it the other way and I think it'd be totally fine. Now I'm going to run my hand along kind of the inside of that gutter again. It is not a sensory treat. However, it is the only way I'm finding that little cross piece. I think this might be as tight as I can get over here without compromising the integrity of what I'm doing. It's kind of coming off the roof a little bit proud, but I think it's going to be okay. Like this corner here. It's just going to be a next little extra bit of drama. So here's what I did. In order to make these corners, I'm actually up here with my Felco 14s. I freaking love these snips. They are so good. They fit my hand perfectly. Okay, so what I did is there's major branches of cedar coming through this garland. So what I did is I took my Felcos and I gave the back side where I wanted it to bend a bit of a snip. I didn't go all the way through. I went about halfway through because cedar is also super pliable. And so I did a snip here and I did a snip over here so that we could actually make these 90-degree turns. Otherwise, it was not happening. It was not happening. By the way, warning to all of you, this is next level craftiness, but it's gonna look so good. So we've got everything in position, and it's at this point that I'm starting to roll it back over the gutter. And then I'm gonna do one more pass back to secure it in even tighter because like I mentioned, I only have my 26 gauge. I really should have had like a 22 on this. And so a 22 gauge wire. So I've flipped it over so I can kind of now see what my garland is doing. I'm going to go back through. I'm going to take out my little white pieces that told me where my center was. And then we're going to start doing a little extra embellishing. Okay, I want some ivy, please. Some ivy sprigs with the bobbly bit on it. Try again, that's skimmia. Ryan is a very good assistant. It's right by my it's right by my tumbler. Do you see it with the knobbly bits? Yeah. Okay. Could I have maybe like 2 sticks? And then could you grab me some eucalyptus? And then could you also grab me some of the fir? So with this being right above the doorway, I want this to be like a really full space, if that makes sense. So I kind of want like peak Christmas happening right here. And then we can kind of descend as we go towards the other side. Oh, that's great. And for these ones, I'm literally just looping them into the garland. I'm just kind of like tucking them in where there's little spaces. And you can catch a lot of the wire that loops around. So it actually is pretty secure in here. Okay, and then I want to kind of come down and check and see because I know I've got little pockets that I'm going to be accentuating. Get out of here with this red twig on there. Not the vibe. It did not pass vibe check. Let's see. Oh, I for sure need more in that corner, like coming up, and then I need more over there. Okay. This is dramatic. This is making me very excited. Like, this is maximalism. Okay. I did bring some of this Lacoste away, and I'm not sure if I'm going to love it or if I'm going to, like, hate it. Oh, you know what? Actually, while I'm up here, is this cray-cray, this fern. Oh, actually, the Lacoste adds some great drama. We're getting the fern, too. This just went, like, straight up over the top. Okay, things took a turn. I am now officially going overboard. I'm gonna add all of the foliage. This is gonna be insane. But I am really not mad at that little bit, that Lacoste. It's got a little bit of that bronze to the leaf and like these big swoops. Okay, I think we're gonna add some big stuff. Oh, this is so great. Oh my God. This is insane. This is like my brain just like spit out all of its creativity in this one moment. I think I have reached a new level of decorating insanity though. We need more sticks. We totally need more sticks. Whoa, that's so good. That's so good. That's so good. Okay, you know what I might do? I almost feel like I'm a little like evergreen heavy down there. Like right here. I almost feel like I need to break it up with either a fern. Actually, that's kind of cute how it frames the front door. If you guys ever want to know what happens in my brain, this kind of stuff is dreamed up in my brain. All in all, I would say this is not a bad glow up for this Costco garland, and I am absolutely tickled. I think I have nailed the maximalist naturalist look this year. Now, this is obviously way over the top, but the drama for this year is really, when you have a tiny house, I feel like you've got to start Christmas right at the front door. And then with all the little offcuts of all of the gathered material, I've simply embellished these two little candle holders, which this is an indoor outdoor candle. And so it's really fun. You can like turn it on at night and just sets like the perfect mood. So if we want to run down the investment in this garland, this is a $20 Costco garland. I spent $16 on eucalyptus from Trader Joe's. And everything else is from my yard. I already had the wire. I already had my Felcos. Guys, not bad for $36. That is baller. That's actually really good. I was at my local store the other day and they had this beautiful evergreen wreath and it was like $98. It was really beautiful. Like they mixed textures, they put boxwood in and all that stuff. But I think I killed it. I would say if I'm rethinking this project, the couple sticking points that I had were, I made this so heavy that those little Christmas tree lights just simply couldn't support it. And we didn't want to nail into the fascia, which I have actually done in homes prior, but we didn't want to nail it in here. If anyone has an idea that is different from what I did, please share in the comments below because I know we are all out there decorating our homes right now for the holidays. And it would be really fun to know what you have done that was minimally invasive, but still held up a very beefy garland. This is gonna wrap it up for me, but I wanted to take a minute to thank everyone who has ordered tumblers, holiday packs, the solstice tea, among all the honey, all the other goodies. I just want all of you to know that when you're shopping a small business, literally, I get my little notification on my phone and I genuinely do a happy dance. Brian and I do a little high five, and it just means so much to all of us small business owners to have your support. So thank you to everyone who has ordered. If you haven't ordered yet, I still have some goodies available, and tomorrow is Small Business Saturday. So we're ready. We're packing boxes. Come on over virtually, although it would be fun to have you over in real life. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, say hello to your garden for me.